third straight game. Despite being up by 10 at one point late in this game, the Bulls could not hold on for the victory. Some coaching mistakes, definitely some performance mistakes as well. Limit the Chicago Bulls in this game. We're going to talk about it all and more right after this. What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content, y'all. The Chicago Bulls lose a hard-fought game against the San Antonio Spurs. They ended up losing this one 121-117. This was a game in which the Bulls definitely competed in. Unfortunately, in the fourth quarter, they got outscored 32-19. And the thing that we've seen happen, at least in the last two games for the Chicago Bulls, is that their inability to get points at times in the fourth quarter is really dooming them as a team. It's really unacceptable for the stretches that this team just goes on without scoring. The Bulls at one point had a 10-point lead in this game against the Spurs late in the third quarter, and then they just do the same thing that the Bulls have been doing for a while in the last few games. They allow a run by the Spurs that then the Bulls just can't match at all. After a 10-10 run, right, which the Bulls and Spurs matched themselves, the Bulls were still up by 3. The Spurs then, over the last minute of this game, go on a 10-3 run to end up winning this game. And that's just what the Bulls' experience has been, man. So when you look at it, the Spurs went on a 10-0 stretch from 9 minutes and 58 seconds left in the fourth quarter to about 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And that still had them down by 3. They then matched for 10-10. They went back and forth. They traded buckets for the majority of the fourth quarter, which still left the Bulls up by 3. But then over the last minute of this game, the Spurs went on that 10-3 run, and it just sealed the game for the San Antonio Spurs. I mean, credit to them. In that run, Wemby hit 8 points out of their 10. He was 2 of 2 from 3 when it came down to it. He had some critical shots for them in that game, and the Bulls just couldn't match it, man. And when you have the Bulls going, when the Bulls give up those type of runs, it's just almost impossible, especially without Giddey, without Coby, to get back in games like this. And I'll tell you this. This is a game where, again, I'm blaming coaching of Billy Donovan. Not only did Billy Donovan have and leave Jalen Smith out of the game for a period of time, again, when he brought Jalen Green in, he set Isaac Okoro and left Nikola Vučević in to have a double big lineup. And listen, if Vuč was playing well, I would have no problem going to a double big lineup. Vuč was getting cooked by not just Wemby, but Luke Kornet in this game on lobs. There was no reason for Vuč to be in this game after about 5 minutes left. Isaac Okoro and Jalen Smith should have been the closing lineup there because that was the lineup, despite Okoro only scoring 2 points. And I know Billy Donovan's going to get to the podium and probably say, well, we felt like if we needed some offense, we wanted to leave Vuč out there for offense. Fuck all that. If you can't stop anything, all the offense in the world don't mean shit. And this was another game where Billy Donovan and his loyalty to Nikola Vučević hurt it. Jalen Smith has put together 2 of his best games in a Chicago Bulls uniform, and you left his ass on the bench in the most crucial times of these games. It doesn't make any sense. Jalen Smith had 11 points, 12 rebounds, 2 assists, only 1 turnover in this game overall. He was 5 of 13 from the field. Other than him being 1 of 4 from three-point range, he was fairly efficient. I don't understand at this point what Jalen Smith has to do for Billy Donovan to realize, all right, this game, you got it. Let's keep you in the game. Now, I get it. There's going to be some games where Jalen Smith does not look great in. And in those games, I'm not going to complain about him not getting in the game. But, bro, Luke Kornet was cooking. It would have been different if it was just Wemby that was cooking Nikola Vučević. Luke Kornet was cooking you. 16 points from Luke Kornet in this game. I'm not saying Vuč needs to be benched and not be a starter anymore, But when you late in game and Jalen Smith is giving you some really good two-way basketball, why in the fuck would you not have him out there on the court? It doesn't make any logical sense basketball-wise. Billy Donovan, with his bullshit-ass thought process and his loyalty to Nikola Vučević in crunch time, you ain't got no problem sitting Matas. You ain't got no problem sitting fucking Io. You ain't got no problem sitting any of these guys. Sit Vooch's big ass down, bro. There's no reason if he's not scoring well and he's definitely not defending well for you, he wasn't rebounding overall well either, what was he giving you? Billy Donovan lost the Chicago Bulls this game with pure incompetence as a head coach yet a fucking again. Yet again. 2 games in a row you're doing this shit, bro. Just really unfortunate, bro. Really unfortunate. It's just really unfortunate that, and I'm not saying that listen, Wemby was cooking down the stretch. He could have very well still cooked the Chicago Bulls, right? I want to be clear there. But you didn't put yourself, you didn't trust your players, and you didn't put yourself in the best position to try to win the basketball game. You just didn't. And it's just like, how many times do you have to see the same shit before you realize it? Come on, bro. Come on, man. Gotta get that together. You gotta get that together. And until Billy Donovan is ready to do that, man, the close games like this, without Coby and Giddey and stuff going off. But I mean, on the bright side, right? Let's flip it. I gave the negative. I'm frustrated. Let's flip on the bright side. The Bulls, without Josh Giddey, without Coby White, and their backup center and Zach Collins, just pushed the San Antonio Spurs, who are 8-2 on the season, have one of the best offense and defensive ratings in the league. They just pushed them into the fourth quarter, and they competed into the fourth quarter of that game. And I got to give them credit for that, because you were able to do that without some of your best players out there on the court. So you get credit for that one, right? And I do think this game looks probably very differently if we're at full health. And maybe that's the thing you want to pull away from this, is that at full health, this Bulls team is still looking like they're going to be in position to be pretty good. But 2 games in a row, your starting center was outplayed by his backup, and you still went with the starting center. But outside of that, you got several Bulls that stepped up big time today. Audasumu had 20 points off the bench. Jalen Smith had 11 points off the bench as well. Patrick Williams had 5, but the points aren't going to really dictate how good P. Will was at times defensively in this game for the Chicago Bulls. P. Will did give us some really good, important defensive minutes in this game, and I do appreciate that. In the starting lineup, Tre Jones, as the starting point guard with Josh Giddey out, gave us 20 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals from Tre Jones in this game. He went 8 of 15 from the field for 53% overall. He was 0-2 from three-point range. Kevin Huerter just continues to just find ways to give the Bulls stuff that they need in every single game. Kevin Huerter is quickly becoming one of my favorite Chicago Bulls. And it's not to say he does everything right, because he doesn't. There's some games where Kevin Huerter makes some pretty big mistakes, and times even in this game where he made some pretty big mistakes. But the thing that I love about Kevin Huerter is that he's not a guy that you look at as a defender, but he absolutely makes some big team defensive moments in this game. He had 23 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and a block. Kevin Huerter continues to lead the Chicago Bulls in blocks in this game. Efficient night shooting from Kevin Huerter today as well. 57% from the field, 44% from 3. We needed every single bit of it. Matas Buzelis with 15 points, 5 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 block in this game. Matas Buzelis made some defensive lapses down the stretch of this game that got him set down. But overall, I think Matas had a pretty solid game today, bouncing back from the last 2 games where he gave us a net nothing. So it's good to see that from Matas Buzelis. Kevin Huerter with only 2 points, but he took 5 shots. He was 0 of 5 from the field. You want to see him be better and shoot better than that, but he did have some really important defensive matchups today, which I think he did a pretty damn good job at defensively in this game. And then, of course, Nikola Vučević with 11 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 turnover in this game. Vuč shot 28% from the field today. 28% from the field. And this is the guy you felt like you couldn't sit in the fourth quarter of this game. Billy Donovan got some explaining to do with that shit, but That's just me. I'll leave that be for the people that want to talk about it. But listen, for another game in a row, Wemby, 38 points in this game, 12 rebounds, 5 blocks, 5 assists in this game from Wemby. And this is just another game where the other team's best player stepped up the most in the right moments. And shout out to the Spurs for getting this performance out of Wemby. You had De'Aaron Fox in his second game back with 21 points as well. 19 points from Stephon Castle, and then 16 from Luke Kornet coming off the bench, and Keldon Johnson with 10 as well coming off the bench in this game. This was a winnable game for the Chicago Bulls. I want to keep that and say it. This was a winnable game for the Chicago Bulls. It was. This was a very winnable game. But at the end of the day, man, coaching hurt this one. Performance down the stretch. The Bulls have to figure out why is it that in the most critical moments in the last few games, the Bulls have just been unable to score. Unable to score at all in the last 2 games. And that's something that just really stands out as something that the Bulls are going to have to really look toughly at, because you cannot win basketball games if the other team could force you to be scoreless for so long. I think in the NBA and modern NBA, especially if you're not getting the necessary stops, if you go 2 or 3 minutes without being able to score the basketball, you're going to probably, especially in the fourth quarter, you're probably going to lose that game unless you were just blowing them out, and it's garbage time at that point for you. And the Bulls have now fallen into that trap way too many times for my liking. They got to get that figured out. And they got to figure out how they're going to stop that and learn to stop the bleeding, learn to get those points up on the board, because when you don't do that, you're gonna run into stuff like this. And that just is what it is. No ifs, ands, no excuses about it. The Bulls did not perform well enough down the stretch of this game. Shout out to them. The Bulls won the second and the third quarters in this game, which is really good to see. They outscored the Spurs by 9 points in the second quarter. They outscored them by 8 points in the third quarter, which put them in a position where they could win this game. But then they got outscored by 13 points in the fourth quarter of this game, and that's how you lose it. That's how you lose it. And, again, I'm not putting it all on Billy Donovan, but a pretty big chunk of it does go to Billy Donovan today. Just it is what it is. Billy Donovan, for the last 2 games, has made two of the games where we needed coaching to be the best for us, and 2 times in a row, Billy Donovan has utterly failed us with his coaching down the stretch of these games. Just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It completely killed the Chicago Bulls, man. And then we got the Pistons coming up next with Jalen Duren and Cade Cunningham being in the rhythm that they are in right now. And we'll see. Like I said, this team fought. It competed. And if Josh Giddey's in this game, you may have a different result. Now, Josh Giddey is listed as day-to-day. Hopefully he gets his ass back on the court in the next game. And then the Bulls have a couple of days off. I think we play again on Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. The Bulls play again on Wednesday against Detroit. And then at that point, we got Thursday, Friday, and Saturday off before we take the court against Utah for the first of a back-to-back. And then we face off against Utah and Denver on Sunday and Monday, respectively, as we start our West Coast trip out there. Just a short West Coast trip, not the typical circus trip the Bulls used to have. But, the Bulls now, 3 straight losses. And now we got to see how the Bulls are going to rebound from this, man. 3 straight losses for the Chicago Bulls. But, hey, tough coaching today, tough performance down the stretch of this game. The Bulls got to learn to tighten some shit up. Mig says, maybe Billy's not the right coach for this team. Really questionable decisions, 2 straight games. I mean, listen, I'm not going to say he's not the right coach for the team off 2 straight games, especially considering what we saw in the first 5 and 6 games. But, I mean, Billy Donovan, just like you critique the players, Billy Donovan got to get back to the drawing board and look at himself in the mirror and ask himself what the hell is going on. Billy can't control guys from stopping in front of the basket because they're scared of Wemby. Yeah, but that wasn't the only thing that was the problem today. Like, the problem was also that we didn't have defense. You know why we didn't have defense? Because our best defensive big in today's game wasn't on the court in the right moments. So it's not just that. That's why I said it's not all on Billy. It's some of its own player performance, absolutely. But you also got to look at Billy Donovan because of the coaching decisions that he made. Australian, you're right, but the coach did little to nothing to help turn that momentum around. Exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely. If we believe the Matas hype, he should have put the team on his show. Listen, and I don't know if you're really a man or a woman, but you're fucking stupid. It's fucking stupid. He's a second-year player, and he hasn't put the team, like, he's not in that position. Just because we're talking about who Matas could become. He's not there yet. Your estimation here and your comment is fucking retarded, to just be 100% frank with you, and you are disrespectful to the name of Ann, who usually people who are named Ann have some wisdom about them. Get your life together, and if you want to talk basketball, learn to talk basketball instead of talking narrative if you want to come in here, because this comment is fucking stupid, and you are fucking stupid for leaving it. So get in the context. Stop having a narrative and picking one thing to talk about and keep talking about Matas and talk about the game if you got something to say. Otherwise, you can take your opinion, which is a dumbass opinion, ball it up, and shove it up your coochie. That's what you can do with that opinion if you want to keep coming with stupid shit in this chat. All right? Thank you. G Money says, I can't be a Bulls fan anymore, man. It's so annoying. Bro. This ain't even the worst of it. Superstars have torched us in the fourth quarter. 10-0 Wemby run by himself for 4 minutes. 8-0. It was a 10-3 run, and only 8 points were scored by Wemby. The fact that we go on these no-scoring runs in the fourth is crazy. Yeah, it's happening way too consistently. Tough loss, but 10 games in. Giddey comes back next game on Detroit, and Coby comes back soon. I knew it would be a tough game without Josh. Let's be honest. Yeah, I mean, listen, and they performed pretty well without having Josh Giddey in there. I got to give them credit for that. But it still doesn't, like, you play well enough to get yourself there, but that doesn't, if this makes sense, it doesn't excuse you from the fact of the matter is the team just, you can't be scared. Wemby had 4 fouls. You got to learn how to attack Wemby. They should have kept attacking him. I don't care that he had 5 blocks. Force him to stop you. Don't help Wemby stop you by you getting into the paint and then passing out and not wanting to take tough shots. Don't do that. Haize, please read this. I said this last game, and I'll say it again. It really seems like that's stupid. I'm sorry, Matthew. I'm not reading stupid narrative stuff. Vooch is not throwing games. Like, come on. I get you said it last game. Pick something different. You too. I'm not going to put you on the same level of Ann, but stop the stupid shit. Haize, you got to admit the Bulls just froze the last 2 games when they were – facts, 100%. No doubt about that. Jalen Smith was handcuffed to the bench again in critical moments. Exactly. 100% fact on that one. A big choke, but it's all good. We talking about an open Eastern Conference, playing competitive, 2 great teams with the Cavs and Spurs, with Coby and Giddey banged up. Still a very long season. Yeah, still a very long season. Still got a long way to go. Very long way to go. Juan Sanchez says, Matas is good, only second year. He's playing within the Bulls system, not trying to force things. Yeah, I mean, listen, we've had some moments where he's looked bad. I'm not going to act like we haven't had moments where Matas Buzelis has hurt the team, because that has been there. But this is part of the process. And, Matas is, again, and I said this at the start of the season, so many people want to look at Matas for who he can become. He's not there yet. And there's a process to get there, and it's going to take some time. Shout out to Todd in the building, says it's really inexplicable that Billy didn't have Jalen in with Vooch when they went a double big lineup. Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying with that. We haven't used the double big lineup very often and haven't had necessarily great results. But if you were going to leave Vooch out there, Jalen should have been out there too. Absolutely agree with you on that one. Bad coaching. This one's for Melvin. Bad coaching. Just when I was ready to give Billy full credit, he pulls this shit. I hate the obsession with keeping Vooch in crunch time when he has been ineffective. Yeah, I don't know if, Vooch hitting that game winner has basically earned him just ultimate, a green light in the fourth quarter, but we got to be better than that. And this is the problem with BD. He puts on his blinders in these situations and will always leave in his trusted vet over trusting another player who's having more solid game that night. You're not wrong. Shay says, Haize, I understand that players have to perform better, but when you see your team going on an 8-0 drought, you have to call a timeout. And he did call a timeout, and I think he called one timeout along that stretch, but yeah. 32-19 in the fourth quarter. We can't close for shit, King, but I still believe King Drip. We're young. Remember, y'all will learn from this. Exactly. We're still a young team. We did just compete with the Spurs without 2 of our best and really the engine of our offense. Josh Giddey and Coby White are the engine of our offense. Giddey this season for sure, with Coby not playing yet. And we just got to get it together. We got to get it together. It'll be fine once we're healthy 100%. I think we'll be more consistent. Coby scoring the attention he draws is missed. It opens up so much for his teammates. Oh, listen, Demetrius, I said that on today's daily episode as well. Coby White being back on the scene once he's back is going to make even more open shots for like the Isaac Okoros, for the Ayo Dosunmus, right? He's going to have more open shots for those guys because of the way teams are going to have to guard for him and defend for him. And that's where you got to see what you're going to have. And I said it. The Bulls' offense hasn't even scratched the surface of how good it can be. It just hasn't. And we'll see what that looks like. Spacegate says, let's start with Billy. We need a new coach. Well, it's not happening. Billy's going to be here for a minute. He's going to be here for a minute. Dan, we could have been 8-2. We finished these two. Yeah, I mean, hey, it happens. Like I said before, every team goes on a losing streak. It's inevitable. It's going to happen again at some point this season. But now you get to see how you bounce back. Hopefully Josh Giddey's back in the next game. And next game could be our last game without Coby White. They're eyeing that West Coast strip. So between the Utah, Denver, and Portland game, they're eyeing for Coby White to be back in one of those 3 games and get back out on the court. Now, there is a back-to-back between Utah and Denver. So if he doesn't make the Utah game, I wouldn't be surprised if he plays in the Denver one. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Really sad we're stuck with P. Won't for another 4 years. Listen, Discreet, I'm sorry. I don't know if you actually watched this game, but P. Will gave us some really good defensive minutes in this game. Really good defensive minutes. And listen, he's never going to live up to the contract, but that doesn't mean that P. Will isn't still out there performing. P. Will gave us some really good – when we needed some rotational defense, P. Will was out there and gave us some pretty good rotational defense today. So, again, never going to live up to the contract to where he's drafted at, but I can't say that P. Will is actively hurting his team with what his role is right now and what he's doing. That's just my personal opinion. Everybody's entitled to their own. Flockville says, I think he called 2. I knew he called at least 1 timeout. Definitely knew he called at least 1. So he did try to kind of stave off that momentum. One positive was it felt like we defended the 3 ball better this game. I think you're right on that. Let me look at the numbers on that because it feels like you're right. Outside of, I think Wemby hit like almost all of their threes, if I'm not mistaken, today. So they went 10 of 33 from the 3-point range, and Wemby hit 6 of them. So, yeah, we defended the 3-point line pretty well today, David. Good point there. And like you said, Haize, I have no problem with Vooch staying in crunch time, but where was Jalen or anyone being told to help double Wemby if we were leaving Vooch in? Exactly. Because leaving, and I get it, there were some possessions where you left Vooch on an island against Wemby and he forced a miss. But betting on that, like as your strategy in the fourth quarter of a close game, no, you can't do that. That don't make any sense. Casual NBA fans will think that we're leveling out, but to be honest, with the schedule we've had, teams would be 1-9 or winless. We are right in the thick of the East with by far the hardest schedule. Oh, yeah, I mean, we had a very difficult schedule to start, and it eases up some towards the middle of December, then it gets tough again, I think there. I'm trying to remember from when the schedule came out. It gets tough again, I think, towards mid-January. Not to say that we don't have some tough games even between those, but the schedule does ease up here sooner rather than later. Honestly, I speculate this is going to be the most frustrating part of the season for us Bulls fans, but once everyone is healthy, I'm sure we will games against those competitive teams. Listen, I mean, we stayed competitive in and without them. So, yeah, there's a lot of reason to think that, right? You're on the right track of thinking that we can stay competitive in some of these games for sure. Shay, easier said than done, King. We're young, and Billy is still adjusting as well. Give it time, especially when Zach, Coby, and Giddey come back. I'm still optimistic, Shay. I'm loving this having fun. Yeah, I mean, the Bulls are a fun team. They've been a fun team. It's frustrating, but they have been a fun team, and I won't take away from that even with my frustration. They've been a very fun team for more this season than they haven't been. No one was scoring in the fourth quarter except Wemby, and we didn't think, hey, let's use Vooch and Wemby to double him while everyone else goes cold. I'm okay with ranting. Okay, I'm done ranting. I mean, listen, it happens. It is what it is, bro. Like, it is what it is. Like, now you gotta go and try to rebound from this. You were 6-3, right? Now you're 6-4. You're 2 games above 500 still. And I'll tell you what, I said coming into this season, if the Bulls can make it out the first month at 500, that's a really good start. And I think they're going to finish better than that. We have to end the first month of the season, we still have Detroit, Utah, Denver, Portland, Miami, and Washington. So we got 6 more games left before we hit the end of the first month of the season, right? And so out of those 6 games, let's say the Bulls do go 500. So they're 9-7. That's a solid start. Anything above that, 10-6, 11-5, right? So we'll see. And you're getting guys back over those next 6 games. You're getting Josh Giddey back. You're getting Coby back. You're getting Zach Collins back. So let's see what the future does hold for the Bulls and how well over these next 12 games they can get it together. Tonight proved how deep this team is, went toe-to-toe with the top team in the West. Yeah, absolutely. Here comes Ann. Calm down and tell me, given all the preseason hype, are you good with Matas progress so far? Dispense with all the insults and calm. Yeah, because who cares about – only casuals and dumbasses care about preseason hype. Let's talk about the actual basketball. Don't worry. You're a casual if you only believe the hype. I'm just be quite frank. And you're stupid. And you can stop with the insults, but I'm sorry. Your questions and your estimation are insulting to my intelligence because as somebody who actually likes and enjoys the game of basketball, your questions are dumb. So I don't give a fuck about – who cares about the preseason hype? I care about the reality of what we're seeing out there on the basketball court. First of all, Matas Buzelis is only getting 1.5 to 2 more shots a game than what he got last year. And his production is a lot more efficient. So, yes, I'm happy with Matas overall in this progression of where he's getting to because it's not about getting to the final version of yourself in 10 games into year 2. It's just not – that's not where you need to be. So who cares about preseason hype? Talk about actual basketball. There's nobody who actually watches basketball and that breaks down the game of basketball that's worried about preseason hype. It's stupid. So ask yourself this. Why are you such a casual that you don't understand how to talk about basketball outside of bringing up preseason hype by people who write about the team who don't follow the team every single day? Haize, what's your take on Vuč? For years, I've been on the trade Vuč team because of his D. What you know about Vuč's D? Why you know about Vuč's D? That's strange. But he's been playable against other bigs. Wemby's a bad matchup for most, and I'm good on – listen, my stance on Vuč has stayed the same. Until you have a starting caliber center, Vuč is going to probably be on this team. And even then, let's say the Bulls do draft the next starting center this offseason, that then they are going to – it's going to take a while to get that guy ready to start. Vuč is elite at what he does well. And what he doesn't do well, I mean, we didn't bring him here to do that. So, listen, I'm of the mind of, and this is not to say not just absolutely don't trade Vuč. If a team comes calling and they have a great offer, cool. It's a great offer. But otherwise, Vuč generally does more good for this team than bad. But it's been very bad, more bad than good the last 2 weeks for sure. I mean, last 2 games for sure. Probably the last 3 games for sure. Absolutely, King. I'm having fun this season. Win, lose, or draw. They competitive a lot more, I can say, for my Raiders. Hey, bro, you're talking all that shit about the Raiders earlier in the season, and look where they are now. Why can't these Chicago sports fans for young players to develop at least into year 4 before we get into these? And I mean, I'll say at least year 3, right? I'll say at least year 3. Has Noah played a game in the G League? No, because he's been up on our roster during the 2 G League games. Josh better take up those cankles up and play next game. We're going to need him. Hey, listen, I mean, I'm all for resting players if they're legitimately hurt. I don't want to put somebody out there and put them in a position where they can make something worse and we lose them for more time. So if this day off help get them ready, then I'm not mad at that at all. Haize, do you think the front office will ever come to a point where they let Vuč walk? I mean, they may not have the option. It's Vuč's choice this offseason, right? They don't have no options on Vuč. Vuč can walk away free and clear if he doesn't want to be a Chicago Bull. Little Hell says, I think he needs a couple of more games out. No. Let's hope not. I mean, he could very well be. Let's hope not. Pack says, losing these games is hard to watch, but it's much easier to watch than the definite loss and Zach putting up 35. That's hilarious. That's funny. But all right, y'all. I'm going to get ready to wrap it up. If you can't hear, I'm losing my voice. We got Todd, last comment. Frustration is the other side of fun. We got a 50-50 shot every night with this team, and I'm good with that. I'd be legit optimistic with a 500 record this year, especially with such a young team. Don't disagree with you there. But all right, y'all, that is my time for tonight. Make sure you guys are following us at Bulls Central Pod. You send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullscentralpod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and or voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, but that is thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See you right if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.